Buenos días. Arrancamos la tercera jornada del Barcelona New Economy Week organizada por el Consorci de la Zona Franca de Barcelona. Os saludamos desde la Pedrera Casa Milà en el canal BeTalent. Continuaremos hoy con los contenidos de liderazgo, talento, formación. Agradecemos también, por supuesto, a todos nuestros sponsors globales, Ayuntamiento de Barcelona, ACBAR, Servihabitat, Ministerio de Transportes, Movilidad y Agenda Urbana, a Port de Barcelona como sponsor BIER, Diputació de Barcelona, Acció Barcelona, Centre de Disseny. Y, como no, gracias a vosotros por estar ahí y seguir acompañándonos. Tenemos hoy, creo que son 4 paneles y 2 entrevistas. Vamos a empezar hablando de Barcelona, ya que estamos en la Pedrera. ¿Qué os parece? El panel, el keynote, se titula BATTRACTIVE Barcelona. Y es que Barcelona se ha situado entre las ciudades más influyentes del mundo. Está asociada a la innovación, al diseño, a la gastronomía, a la alta calidad de vida. Barcelona es hoy una ciudad moderna, avanzada, cosmopolita, creativa, inspiradora, uno de los principales destinos turísticos de Europa y un lugar popular para celebrar congresos y eventos corporativos, científicos, culturales y deportivos. Vamos, Barcelona tiene poder, ¿no? Como decía aquella canción. Ayer hablábamos de la movilidad internacional del talento, crucial para el desarrollo de las economías. Y según el Boston Consulting Group, no lo he dicho muy bien, pero bueno, es la 4ª ciudad del mundo en la clasificación de personas trabajadoras dispuestas a cambiar de residencia para trabajar. Algo tiene que atrae mucho, ¿no? Pero ¿cómo conseguir que la ciudad siga atrayendo talento y además consiga retenerlo y que se mantenga en el tiempo? BeAttractive tratará sobre cómo propulsar, cómo promocionar Barcelona como destino, ¿no?, de talento. Para ello, tenemos aquí a Mark Hamill. Let's switch to English, because this panel will be in English. So, Mark Hamill, come on in. Welcome.
Hola,
Thank you
Ana.
for coming. Hola.
Hola, encantado.
¿Cómo estás?
Hola a todos.
Adelante, adelante, ponte aquí a mi
Gracias.
lado. Well, Mark is non-executive chairman for Ackerman International in London and Paris. 25 years accidentally in executive search. During his career, he has placed over 500 executives, and Mark is considered a thought leader in talent acquisition across emerging markets and specialized in C-suite roles, CEO successions, and board development across multiple sectors.
Ay, muchas gracias, Ana. Muchas gracias.
A lot of things.
A lot of things. A lot of things. So delighted to be here.
The same, delighted to have you here.
Thank you.
So, have you been in Barcelona before?
Many times, Ana.
Many times.
Many times. Yo soy un guiri irlandés.
Oh.
Y he pasado mucho tiempo aquí en España.
Okay.
So I love it here. Whenever I have the chance to come with my partners to spend time in Barcelona,
you enjoy it.
Always take advantage of it. It's such a stunning city.
And have you seen, perceived like changes in these years?
Definitely. I think the economy, the digitalization, the millennial growth, I mean, it's changed. I think my first visit was 1990, and probably every year, once or twice a year. So I've seen it.
Like before Olympic Games?
Before the Olympics, yeah.
Wow, so
yeah.
you've seen a lot of changes.
Absolutely. And we were very close with my family to moving here about 10 years ago, but, you know, sliding doors, different things happened. Mm-hmm. So it's a city we respect, love, admire. It is very, very unique in a European context. So very special place.
So enlighten us how we can boost Barcelona.
Look, I think Barcelona really has it all. I mean, it's such a stunning city, climate, location you mentioned in the intro. I enjoyed some beautiful local food last night. The culture, the people, there's a natural charm to the place. It really is very special. So if we look at the plus columns, it's very, very clear why Barcelona is attractive, can be attractive. We look at upcoming trends, and I think there's so many case studies we're seeing of successful startups, the digital economy, investments, private equity, venture capital, that whole startup incubator buzz and excitement, attracting millennial talent is probably the second or third most engaging in Europe at the moment. So plus column, it's very clear, workforce, good comparable salaries, work-life balance, culture, climate we mentioned, and other things that are important. I mean, I'll talk a little bit later about comparative cities where we're seeing other trends evolve. We look at Berlin, going into like a no-drive city, things that are important to millennials coming up. And I think particularly with that focus on digital economy, startup, incubators, it's planning ahead, and seeing what that workforce is going to be interested in, is going to be engaged in, and that's the path that you need to plot.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, I leave you with Mark. Remember, you can make questions by the chat, the Be Talent chat. So I leave you with him and enjoy.
Muchas gracias, Ana.
Go on, Mike.
Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias para todos y estoy muy feliz de estar aquí con vosotros. I will switch to English. As I said, I'm an Irish Geary who spent a lot of time living in Spain, in Santiago de Compostela, in País Vasco, in El Sur, y también en Barcelona. So I've had a chance. I've also lived personally in Praga, in Berlin, in Amsterdam, in London. So I've had a chance to live in many, many cities across Europe, and very grateful for that. As I mentioned, when I look at Barcelona, its attractiveness, I mean, it's clear. It's such a fun place to be. It has a lot of unique aspects to it. But what I'm going to focus on in the conversation today is a little bit more on knowing the competition. I mean, it's such a competitive landscape out there for inward investment, for talent, the right place to start up your business, particularly in that digital economy, in the fintech space. We look at cities, so the starting point is probably Dublin, so where I'm from. I mean, Dublin has been kind of one of the pioneers, and I'll explain why, in terms of attracting inward investment since the 90s. 9 out of the top 10 global technology companies have a headquarters in Dublin. 9 out of the 10 top US software companies have their headquarters for EMEA in Dublin. A huge part of that is for tax reasons. So it's very important. You can talk about talent all you like, but unless the infrastructure in terms of like taxation, cost of setup is correct, it's a waste of time. So there has to be that balance. There has to be that connection with government, with policy, with taxation to attract in the organizations. Ireland has attracted in $700 billion worth of US investment over the last while. The number 2 country is Bermuda with 34 billion. So from 700 billion to 34, from number 1 to number 2. So Ireland has created a somewhat like false structure, but it's incredibly successful in terms of attracting in particularly technology companies. Yeah, Ireland also has naturally, thankfully, an English-speaking workforce. We're happy that the English people gave us one good thing. Everything else, we're happy they're gone, but they did leave us with the language, so we're grateful for that. We look at other cities like Amsterdam, like London, the impact of Brexit on other opportunities, how that's going to impact opportunities for Barcelona to keep growing and keep attracting in that talent. I think in everything, for me, what I see it's most important, it's telling the story. It is about the visibility. It is about events like this which get the word out how successful, how attractive Barcelona is. The number of case studies that we've recently read about success stories coming out of Barcelona, the incubator scene, the startup scene, the venture capital firms who are attracting talent here and starting up businesses here, those stories just need to be more visible and pushed out, and that will be a great way to start pulling in kind of more investment. Where the money is, the people will go. So it is about that opportunity and that balance. I think it is important also, you cannot be all things to everybody. There is always going to be some element of balance, and the third part of the speech today, I'll talk a little bit about when it goes wrong, how to go overboard in terms of potentially damaging that talent pool. So if we look at probably the city which I think is most comparable to Barcelona and most competitive to Barcelona, it's Berlin. So we look at millennial talent, we look at digital investment, we look at the international. I think it's probably the biggest single difference between Barcelona, apart from the geographical physical piece, is that Berlin has actually positioned itself as a much more international city. So 60% workforce, international, 170 different nationalities. It's got a more international kind of vibe than Barcelona currently does. So I think that's an area to kind of explore a little bit. But I think in terms of the digital nature, the fintech, the edtech, all the technology areas, it's probably the most comparable in terms of like talent pool, size, scale, and opportunity to grow. One of the other competitors, I think, as a city is Lisbon. I mean, we're seeing a lot of investment in Lisbon, particularly again in technology, attracting large-scale events. The Web Summit is there every November, previously was in Dublin. So I think, again, just creating a story, creating a buzz around a city. I think the talent pools, Portugal also has a very strong English language piece. I mean, if you grow up, and I've spent some time in Portugal, all the TV shows, American English TV shows are in version original. So it's the language there also, I think, creates a little bit of a competitive advantage. So I would look at Dublin, Berlin, Lisbon as being competitive cities to Barcelona in terms of attracting that talent, attracting that investment, and picking up some of the key pieces. Like I said, Dublin, I think from the taxation piece, which I would rate as number one. I think Berlin from the international mix and the dynamic. And I think Lisbon from the point of view of it's just being perceived as a go-to hub for incubation. I think Barcelona has an element of all three, but I think it is about finding the right balance and telling that narrative and selling that story. Cities that have got it wrong or have been overexposed, I mean, two US cities we look at, San Francisco and Austin, Texas, clearly rents, salaries, spoiled workforce, cost of living, I mean, everything is through the roof as those cities try to accumulate incredible talent in the noughties, almost to the stage of burnout. One thing that we're seeing there, where there is a little bit of a revival, is through this whole concept now of remote work. So clearly through the pandemic, people have now had to learn how to remote work. Companies are now offering 100% remote work environments. So I think that's probably been one of the key trends that we're seeing there. But I would have said those cities in particular have now become slightly overexposed from a talent point of view. So I think, again, looking at finding that balance is incredibly important. So for me, Barcelona absolutely has it all. I think it has, in principle, the best balance between all those cities. It has the best marcha, the best fun, I think the most engaging culture. And I think it is just about events like this, stories about the successes that we're seeing in the startup scene, taking them to a more international market, really building up that brand of Barcelona. And I think the future is absolutely golden and very, very bright. Pues muchísimas gracias. And I think, did we have
very
a
much.
question or two?
Yes, I was thinking, like, is there any global, like, trend, new trends in around the world? Cities like you've said,
Yeah.
like Lisbon, San Francisco, Texas, Dublin.
I think the big shift that we're seeing is that focus on digital economy. I mean, certainly since the pandemic, we've seen incredible money from private equity, from venture capital being invested in different organizations around the world. The money is there, the investment capability is there, I think the workforce is there, and it is all about deciding where those companies make the investment. So I think, again, the positioning of Barcelona, super important. The platform is there, the success stories are there. I think it is just about the visibility and taking that balance out.
Yeah, it's like everyone has to be like its own brand.
Yeah.
Barcelona has...
Absolutely. The power of, I mean, you look at, in business, the power of the personal brand over the corporate brand. The city needs its brand. I mean, it has so many positive stories to tell, and that's why I love coming to events like this, because it is about enhancing it. It is about telling that story to a new audience. And that's the kind of the seed that needs to be planted. The more often that seed can be planted, that story can be told, it will capture somebody else's imagination to go, hey, I want to invest in Barcelona, and I think there's a fantastic workforce there, which is true. Yeah, so I think the future is incredibly bright, but I do think always being aware of what the competition is doing is incredibly important, because there is a fragility. Anybody else who can make it more interesting from an investment point of view or from a talent workforce point of view, you know, will be ahead of the game. So never take it for granted.
Of course, we have to work. But the brand of Barcelona has been built since like Olympic Games.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So it's like go
No,
on.
Very strong. I think very strong legacy, very strong history, clearly. And I think it's the success stories that are coming through, that have come up, that can really enhance it. So I think it is just about taking them out to a wider audience.
Good.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Ana, muchísimas gracias.
I think, thank you very much for coming. I think we have no questions. Maybe here, the audience here, no? Okay. So this is all. We continue with another panel at 11:25. It will be in Spanish. And thank you very much for following us on Be Talent. Thank you to our sponsors, Servihabitat, Akbar, Ajuntament de Barcelona y Ministerio de Transportes, Movilidad y Agenda Urbana. We see you in like 10 minutes. Bye.